honor that we have been joined by the leaders of our profession in industry. We have CA Saurabh Mashruwala ji, who is CFO of Torrent Power. We have CA Nitin Parekh ji, who is CFO of Zydus Life Sciences Limited. CA Hiranand Savlani ji, Executive Director and CFO Astral Polytechnic Limited. CA Nupesh Shah ji, Executive Director Symphony Limited. CA Umang Nahata ji, who is Board of Director Mastech Limited. And we also have Ms. Mugdha Kalra ji, who would be moderating this session. Big round of applause for all the dignitaries on the dais. I think it is star-studded, and we are just starting this panel discussion within couple of minutes. We are just waiting for Purushottam Khandelwal ji, who has just gone to see off President sir. Yes, we have CA Purushottam Khandelwal ji. So requesting sir to please join Chairperson Madam in welcoming all the dignitaries who are on the dais. So we first welcome CA Saurabh Mashruwala ji, CFO Torrent Power, requesting respected Central Council member CA Purushottam Khandelwal ji and CA Anjali Choksi ma'am to welcome CA Saurabh Mashruwala ji. Requesting all the respected members to please join sir and ma'am with a big round of applause in welcoming the dignitaries. Thank you so much. Requesting ma'am and sir to now welcome CA Nitin Parekh ji, CFO Zydus Life Sciences Limited, with a bouquet and memento. Thank you so much to all the dignitaries who joined us in this panel discussion amidst their tight schedule and routine. And now we welcome CA Hiranand Savlani ji, Executive Director and CFO Astral Polytechnic Limited, with a bouquet and memento, requesting Purushottam Khandelwal sir again and ma'am to please welcome sir. Now we welcome CA Nupesh Shah ji, Executive Director Symphony Limited, with a bouquet and memento, requesting sir and Anjali ma'am to please welcome sir. He is Managing Director of Symphony Limited. And now we welcome CA Umang Nahata ji, who is Board of Director Mastech Limited, with a bouquet and memento. तालियां थोड़ी और जोर से बजनी चाहिए. Thank you so much. And requesting ma'am and Purushottam Khandelwal sir to welcome Ms. Mugdha Kalra, who is moderator for this panel discussion. Thank you ma'am for accepting our invitation. And now I request Ms. Mugdha Kalra ji to take this panel discussion ahead. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, good evening. After hearing Mr. Jain and Aniket talk about their journeys and what's been happening with the chartered accountancy as an industry as a whole, मुझे बहुत FOMO हो रहा है. FOMO इस बात का हो रहा है कि हम जितने भी आज बड़े बड़े दिग्गजों को देख रहे हैं इंडस्ट्री में, उन सबका बहुत बढ़िया एक तो फिनेंस बैकग्राउंड है, और जैसा कि उन्होंने कहा कि MBAs कम दिख रहे हैं अब, and the leadership positions are taken by chartered accountants, and also chartered accountancy में जो ये ABCD ESG की जो बात उन्होंने कही, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि इसका जिक्र किया जाए, क्योंकि we are seeing over a period of time leaders talk this language, and it is increasingly becoming very difficult for leaders to thrive as leaders because the canvas is completely changing. So when we are going to talk about work-life balance, I don't know if there is a work-life balance for them. And I don't know if in this era they can have a work-life balance with so many changes happening. So we will speak to some of the leaders sitting here and get candid answers from them about how they strike a balance, if there is any. But before that, future of finance in digital era. Now, in an era characterized by rapid technological advancements, there is data protection, we are talking about security laws, we are talking also about how we are seeing a new generation that is coming up which is demanding more when it comes to security, when it comes to how their data is being used. But we are also seeing cloud transformation, digital transformation. We are seeing more and more companies wanting to keep themselves updated with the technological transformations, and sometimes we don't know whether or not it is right for their companies, whether or not the data that they are mining is the right data, or is it useless data? How do you sieve from the right and the wrong data? Cybersecurity is a threat. Mr. Jain also very, very interestingly spoke about digital Taoism, and in an era of technology and society which is evolving faster than businesses can really adapt, the stage actually is set for leadership, a new generation of business models, and their mantra is adapt or die. As simple as that. With that, I open the panel here, and let me start with Umang, with you. With Mastech, it is interesting how many companies you must be speaking to. The industry in itself is looking at technologies like blockchain, AI, machine learning. How, in a financial institution, are they revolutionizing the work? How many of people you are interacting with are able to trust, able to pivot? How many of them are in the race and saying कि करना है लेकिन अभी भी सहमे कदम हैं, और या कुछ confidence में आ गए हैं लेकिन manage नहीं कर पा रहे? You know, there are a whole lot of things that come when you are dealing with so many people and so many industries. I want this to be as anecdotal as possible because both Mr. Jain and Aniket have already spoken about bigger sort of macro view of it. So let's dive in straight with your personal experience on this.
Lots of customers on the same front. So there is this organization that we work for in US which was looking at, it's an oil drilling company, and they would look at their workforce in terms of, the challenge was how would you do more with less kind of business. Right. And adopting IoT-driven platform to deliver far more than what they were doing, in their current scenario, completely changed their business model in terms of the size that they were. So instead of sending people on board all the time to sitting back in their rooms, a central control room, and still delivering what they could deliver, their whole business model completely changed, and they were becoming a more IoT company than oil and gas company over a period of time. So some of these changes are very radical, and they are business change driving. And we spoke about some examples of AI, and I would say as finance professionals or as even business leaders, it's that big a change as big a change as internet was in our revolution, especially with AI blockchain. And therefore, readapting the kind of work that we do today versus the kind of work that we will be required to do a few years down the line will be very different. We will be no longer required to do reconciliations or even vouching or maybe bookkeeping, etc. All of that, the AI will do it himself. So the role of human working with that AI has to be looked at and evolved in terms of decision making, adding that emotional angle, adding the ESG angle. So EQ, your ESG and your decision making capabilities are going to become far more than just pure play basic technical skills of recording and bookkeeping. And that's how big I see these changes. So it's not just digital era. I think digital is by default given. It's more the next generation era that we have to work for.
No, and I'll just give you a simple example. Earlier in the day, I was hosting a panel where we had a gentleman from a leading insurance company. And he spoke about how they'll be able to do settlements. Right now, they are able to do settlements under 30 minutes. That's what they are saying, that they'll be able to do that in 5 minutes. The ones under 50,000. And it is fascinating how in the finance realm, data and blockchain, generative AI, etc., are actually the need of the hour. But having said that, there's always that classic problem that I'm going to discuss now with Mr. Sablani, which is as CFOs and CEOs, how do you navigate the balance between innovation, regulatory frameworks, compliances, and also people management? Because a lot of this also has got to do with the fact that when you are adapting technology, a lot of that work will take away jobs as well, right? So as CEOs and CFOs, how challenging is it to make those decisions? And what kind of a mental makeup, strategizing goes behind closed doors when we are talking about all of them together?
So I think innovation is our punchline of Astral. Our punchline is where innovation flows. That is the punchline of our company. So I think I joined this group in 2003 when the top line of the company was just 15 crore. At that time, I was coming back from Dubai, working couple of years over there. So at the turnover of 25 crore only, we started implementing the ERP in the organization. Only 25 crore rupees. That time, everybody was working on tele and all these things, so we implemented that. At the turnover of almost 150 crore, we implemented the SAP. Now I think so many things we are doing, which I think perhaps in our industry, very few companies in the countries are doing.
Right.
Like today I can say that we are in the pipe basically. So any of plumber is buying our pipe. We have a technology whereby any plumber can buy our pipe from anywhere in the country and he will be getting the incentive on his Paytm account. That is what the technology we have adopted. So innovation is the continuous process. It cannot happen in 1 day or 2 days. You have to continuously see that how best way we can do. Even today, the order processing, our dealer can place the order on the portal. From that, it goes to the distributor, and from distributor to the organization, and everything is automated.
Right.
Not a human intervention is required. Unless he is not falling under the parameter, then only that order get rejected and go to the team, and then team can rectify. So that level of automation we have done in our organization. And one step further now we are moving because we are working in a 4 vertical. So now we are integrating all this 4 vertical and we are making one app for our organization. Any product from any of the vertical anybody want to buy, he will be connected with all the other team. Like I can give an example. If somebody is buying the pipe and he goes to the Godrej or some kind of Shobha kind of developer, the moment he is able to click this project in pipe division, automatically the message goes to our sanitary ware and the faucet team because that is a different vertical. It goes to the paint division, that is another vertical. And then it goes to the adhesive and the sealant vertical. So we are having 4. So automatically other teams get alert that, okay, here the Astral has got the approval. So other team can go there and they can push their products also. So that kind of automation we are doing. Now your question was how challenging is that? Challenge is always there. Any organization which cannot accept the change management, I think they will be outdated very, very quickly. I was talking to one of the big 4, they were telling me that after maybe 8 or 10 years, there will be no concept of audit also. Audit will also be get automated. Today you see, when I remember when we completed the CA and all this thing, that time we were managing only bookkeeping kind of things, even the little bit of financial kind of functioning. I remember when we first got the 2 crore rupees of sanction letter from the bank, we all were literally dancing that we got 2 crore rupees of loan. Today, even we are getting 500 crore rupees of sanction letter, we are not even looking because now bankers are coming to your doorstep. So really I'm telling all this young generation that all this traditional kind of things is completely going out from the system. You have to accept the change. Otherwise, you will be completely outdated. So now filing the returns or even government is giving you complete return. Now hardly you have to do any correction. Even I remember recently I filed my return. Okay, my chartered accountant filed my return and he did a small mistake. I can give you an example that when you are switching the mutual fund from one mutual fund to other mutual fund in the same scheme from liquid to maybe a equity, he didn't recognize that in my return. And I got the message from the government that in your return, this is the. So you can understand, government is also getting so automated, so digitalized.
Yeah, government भी अपना compliance पूरा tech के साथ कर रही है. Right.
Similarly, you raise the question of compliance. I think without digitalization, even compliance is also not possible because
True.
the kind of compliances are thrown on the corporate and particularly for the listed company. It's mind-boggling. I can tell it is a headache for any CFO or CEO to handle all this compliance thing. So without digitalization, without having a proper system, I think it is practically not possible for any corporate to comply all these compliances. Because every, I can say weekly or monthly, some new things are happening. So you have to digitalize your compliance team also, and not only digitalize, then you have to keep the external agency also to do that audit also. Because being a listed company, if you fail in any of compliance, you know we are living in the social media era.
True.
Immediately things viral everywhere, and your company get affected with that. And particularly listed company, your market cap
Your
is
brand
connected
gets-
with that.
yeah.
If that kind of error will happen, your market cap get affected.
True.
And particular companies like us who are trading at 100 PE or so, then the punishment will be even more severe. So we have to be always careful in the compliance side, and even now a lot of ready-made platforms are also available in the market whereby you can take the advantage of that and you can do the compliances also.
How many hours do you sleep?
So you rightly said in the beginning that work-life balance, I don't think that word was there in our dictionary when we joined as a CA in the corporate, and even today also.
No, because this is a question I'm going to put all of you, and I want very honest answers. कि आप कितने घंटे सोते हैं? But I'll come back to you for that. Mr. Mashruwala, if I could come to you, would want to understand how successful digital initiatives have significantly impacted your area of work, and at Torrent Power, how do we look at some of the digital initiatives and some of the success stories, sir?
See, we being a utility
Sir.
company,
Are you wearing the mic? All right, that's all right. Then it's fine.
so we being a utility company, we have a dealing with almost 40 lakh customer across 8 geographies in India. So customer satisfaction is of prime importance for us, and we have digitalized our entire process from start with the meter reading. When earlier it was a manual meter reading, now it's a custom automated meter reading. So at the residence of any customers, basically, at the place of any customers, we don't read the meter manually. It's basically machine will read the meter. It will straight away goes to our system where consumption, each individual or each user consumption will be recorded automatically
Right.
without any mistakes. And from there the billing will happen. From the billing it will automatically, go to the customers basically. And so entire process is automated. And even payments also. Earlier when about 7-8 years before, we got about 10% collection online. Because of the various initiative we have taken, and because of the COVID also, COVID has helped us in getting the collection through digitally. Almost 75% of our collection is we are getting online, but it give us more challenges also because we don't predict what kind of a cash flow we are getting on a daily basis, because it's a 24/7 collection we are getting. So very difficult to predict also to how much collection we are getting on a daily basis. So cash flow planning is more challenging also because of this the way the banking system is operating right now. So entire our billing system, I would say, we have automized, and it has improved. It has given better customer experience, I would say, to all customers.
What have been the challenges?
Challenge is because you have to deal with the 40 lakhs customers across
Right.
7 geographies. So customer satisfaction, reconciliation issues, one or two sort of. But because of the digitalization, that issues have more or less sorted out, I would say.
And how deep is the penetration of the technology with so many clients and so many customers? The customer base is huge.
Yeah, customer base is very huge.
Right.
But through technology only you have to deal with the this kind of you can service those kind of customers.
Interesting. Parekh, if I may get you in, and before I talk to you about ESG, which is very important. I wanted to speak to you about the cybersecurity side of it. How organizations are safeguarding their financial data. What has been the Zydus experience? And also, so when we talk about data security, cyber threats, where do you see the infrastructure being designed in a way that it matches up with the changing technology and also the changing technology that perhaps the ones who are launching these cyber threats using?
Yeah, interesting. I think cybersecurity is one of the most sought after topic these days. In fact, in the latest survey of economic crimes and frauds done by PwC, amongst 19 different economic crimes, cybersecurity crime was the most widespread and most disruptive. I think most of us would have received some mails offering some millions of dollars from widows of deceased people who don't have their children. Once I received mail from our chairman Pankaj Patel asking if I can help him with 40,000 rupees. And I know that a chairman with a worth of 50,000 crore rupees cannot ask 40,000. My Instagram account was once hacked, and in my name somebody was asking 20,000, 30,000, and my president marketing phoned me. I was not aware. He said, it seems that your account is leaked. Somebody is hacked. I said, did anybody pay? So he said, no. We all know that Nitin Bhai only is giving money, never asking money. But cyber attack,
Yes.
I think, can be fatal in that sense that it can not only take our money, it can take a very important company information, secret information, business information, your drawings, designs, product-related information, bill of material, customer information, almost many things.
Absolutely.
It can also stop your operations. It may not allow you to do data entry. So in Zydus, we had experienced before a year or so, it was a small such incident where we found that there is some kind of attack. We were able to cover it. We separated the servers immediately and then worked on that. We fortunately did not have much impact. But some of our competitors, we know, they've suffered a lot whereby they were not able to put their system up for months together.
Right.
So this can be very important, in terms of damaging effect. During vaccine time, when the COVID was there and Zydus was one of the vaccine manufacturers, we got government people helping us and sending us signals that there are rumors that there are hackers who want to damage all the vaccine players. Because there are some foreign ends who want to have foreign vaccines in India. So they don't want any Indian manufacturers to manufacture vaccines. So these are all real ones. This is nothing in terms of theory. What organizations like us are doing, one is, and which is important for many other organizations, is to have proper software maintenance or what's called patch management. Right. The systems which are outdated, which are not supported, the applications which are not supported by the vendors, are the first as a vulnerable point for them to take entry. So for example, if you are having Microsoft versions which are not supported, please understand that you are running a risk. It's not a question of saving money, it's trying to play with the systems. Organizations like us are providing training to our people in terms of how do you avoid such kind of phishing mails, onwards many kind of problems, not clicking on unknown links, onwards many things. We had recently, and this is important for many of you to be knowing this, that Government of Gujarat Crime Police Department, they run cyber security programs. And we had recently such programs from the police department to all of our executives. Wonderful. And we had more than 500 people participate in that. That's one way organizations are trying to make their employees aware about that. Next is a multi-factor authentication. Normal, PIN, passwords, I think are all prone to misuse. So frequent changes, finger recognition, face recognition, multi-factor authentication. These are all other means companies are putting in use. And there are advanced tools and techniques also, including state-of-the-art, next-generation firewalls, encrypting your technology and various information parameters. These are other things which the companies are doing. Having said so, with all the efforts, you are never guaranteed, you are never immune. So it's a journey in terms of keeping investment on in cyber security. What companies like us also do is a business continuity plan. So what you do, for example, if an incident occurs, what you will do? Who will do what? How the information to the other users in the organization will go? Who will provide information to whom? What will be the communication channels? How would you control, mitigate, contain, and make the system up again? So detailed plan in terms of roles and responsibilities required. So in pharma, we use word CAPA. CAPA is corrective action, preventive action. So even if the incident happens, like the one which had happened with us, what's the learning of that? What really went wrong? And how do you ensure that at least that part is not repeated? So I think these are the measures which people are taking.
No, fantastic insights there. So if I could ask you one more question, which is related with the financing of tech and financing of cybersecurity. And a lot of times what happens, the budgetary constraints, people tend to ignore the security aspect of it, thinking कि technology पहले adopt कर लेते हैं, security हम वो कर रहे हैं. I think how do you strike a balance between all kinds of verticals when it comes to budgeting? And what would be your message to entrepreneurs when we are talking about all three separate verticals and the very delicate balance, there to say?
So we believe that IT, digital, cyber security spend is not a spend, it's investment for business continuity.
Right.
We are an innovation-driven group. Amongst the very few Indian pharma companies who invest in the basic research. Zydus is one of them. So our chairman says, don't get afraid of failure. Fail fast, learn fast, and go to the next target. So that's hope that everything is ultimately for business continuity. I think that helps. And our MD is a tech-savvy person, Dr. Sarvil Patel. So he invests a lot of time and energy going beyond the technology. He says, come out with a proposal. So for us, ROI is not difficult. We can continue keep making investment in that.
Wonderful. Mr. Shah, if I may get you in here on globalization bit. Yeah, and we know Symphony started from India, presence in China, presence in a lot of other, in fact, I have done a very extensive series with Symphony on sustainability for CNBC, and I could see that you guys are at the forefront of sustainable practices and ESG when it comes to that. But also, interestingly, is how your own footprints are in so many other geographies, and how does that impact your financial strategies in the home country? And how do you keep up with what are the demands of forces outside of your geography? So it really is a question on not just maintaining your industry outlook within the country, but also outside. How challenging is that?
No, so in Symphony, almost 50%, half of our top line is generated from rest of India, that is outside India, through our subsidiaries. We do have fully functional subsidiaries operating in Australia, US, Mexico, Brazil, and China. So jokingly we say that our presence is not there in one continent, that is Africa, otherwise it's everywhere there. And the major objective of our acquisition, number one, we had very clearly decided that we will like to do the business what we know the most. We will like to be in the product where we can be in number one, number two, or number three, then only it makes sense to remain present. So first and foremost objective of all the overseas acquisitions, and latest one was Climate Technology Australia, to have the immediate market access through their dealer distribution network, their known brand, and their established team. So this was the objective. Second objective was, we very clearly knew that what we do in Symphony India, we do have completely outsourced asset light, capital light, working capital light business model, and we believe that at least 90% of the profit should be free cash flow, while in those companies it was completely integrated manufacturing facility, and we wanted to convert them into outsourced business model, whereby there can be lot of flexibility, faster innovation, etc., etc. Number 3, because of that, it will give us further economies of scale in terms of the sourcing internationally or nationally. Fourthly, we clearly knew that many of their products can be manufactured in India, and it can really be like made in India. And number 5, excellent team what we had. However, as everybody knows, most of the mergers and acquisitions are very glamorous, whenever they are being made, it makes headline. However, most of the time, they have been a huge value destroyer. It is said that 8 out of 10 mergers and acquisitions become value destroyer for the shareholders. So the lessons what are important as per our understanding, number 1, the proper integration. Integration in terms of the business, in terms of the culture, in terms of the local preferences, local requirement, etc., etc. And many a times that is extremely difficult. To deal with that, what we have done, we have local CEO, local team for each of the company. We haven't superimposed Indian CEO or any Indian people over there, and that has been really helpful. Secondly, to still symphonize them, because it's very important in terms of the philosophy, in terms of the cost consciousness, in terms of the profitability.
Right.
We do have the team sitting at our head office, and they take care of all the complementary strengths. However, some of the challenges are, number 1, the consolidation in terms of different currency, local regulation, local compliances, local accounting, and also local markets.
Right.
And finally, what we decided, even though Symphony sits on a decent surplus, we decided to fund each of them by local currency loan. The purpose was, number 1, to have forex arbitrage. Number 2, to enforce the discipline on a local team to ensure that it is being repaid and served by local surplus. And number 3, still vis-a-vis treasury return what we generate in India, the loan was quite cheap.
Very interesting about the geographies that you speak about, and how you have different teams come together, your working ethics for that matter. When we are talking about AI and Gen AI, how do you think that is going to make a difference perhaps in your area of work, where we are looking at all these geographies, all these separate compliances, all the different customer bases, etc. Do you think in the future, if we were to look at how digital transformation is happening, perhaps these challenges will be taken care of?
No, I believe that as of now, it is helping us a lot. Say, for example, in some of the geographies to reach the customer, because we are in a consumer durable, we are selling the branded product. So what we need is a consumer pool. So one is, because of the digitization, D2C, e-commerce is a great boon. So we have entered rapidly in some of the unknown geography, in some of the unknown territory. That is number 1. Number 2, in terms of various integration of our international functions, that digital tool has helped us a lot. Number 3, in terms of some of the learnings, what we have done in China or in Australia or in India, because of the digital tool, because of the high level of data analytics, it is helping to integrate a lot.
Right.
And on the contrary, only because of that, many of those functions we have centralized in India. One, for the cost benefit, and secondly, for more efficiency.
Great. I mean, some great really points came out of the first round of deliberations which we were doing on how tech is enhancing the FinCade, as they say, the financial decade. But now we come to the other important aspect of today's panel, which is work-life balance, and whether work-life balance is possible. And obviously, I need very candid answers from all of you. So let me start with Umang, the first round of this question, which is, how do you see the role of CEO and CFOs change in the last few years? And I would have said that 5 years ago, perhaps things were, as in pre-COVID, things were like much easier. But after that, the amount of unlearning that the leaders have had to do has taken a toll on the leaders themselves, and also perhaps only, as they say, survival of the fittest, the survival of the most agile actually continued to happen. But what goes on in the minds of CFOs and CEOs in today's era? How difficult or easy is it for them to sort of pretend to know that everything is in place and command, but at the same time, there's so much happening?
I mean, if you look at, so I'll take it from two angles.
Yes.
First of all, from a CFO and their roles changing, I'll give you a few examples of what is happening. And I heard a lot of speakers earlier mention this, why only CFOs, why not become CEOs, why not become entrepreneurs? And there is, and just now we heard about mergers and acquisitions. I think what is happening is that I'll give you two interesting examples where roles of CFOs have started to change significantly. And they are now being looked at more as CEOs or entrepreneurs rather than CEOs. One is, I'll give you an example of a tech company that we were closely associated with, Oracle. So Oracle had always been led by MBA or marketing sales heads as their CEOs. They had a CFO called a lady CFO, Safra Katz.
Can you hear him?
Can you guys hear me at the end?
Yeah, all right. No,
okay.
that's it.
Now Safra, being an astute finance lady, looked at Oracle's books and realized there was tons of funds lying in their books, which they could have used. And she came up with a strategy where Oracle went on an acquisition spree, acquiring all of their key competitors. PeopleSoft, Siebel, JD Edwards, Sun Microsystems, Hyperion, etc. Turning the wheel around, and from being a database company, it became an applications, database, infrastructure, all in all, and continued to be a superpower. That vision from a financial astute, which started as a financial astute, changed to a strategic astute, where the business is now growing because of a large M&A driven focus. And as we see now, she is the first, she is the CEO of the company now, so CEO of a technology company from a CFO, but two things, right? One is looking at financials, but also looking at business strategy together, looking at market, looking at understanding what is available, and then guiding and executing the business to that angle in terms of bringing this kind of change and really converting. This is an example. So that's one example of how CFOs, especially in this era where we're doing a lot of M&As, it's and CFO is pretty much at the heart and soul of any merger and acquisition that you would do. The second example that I'll give you is a very interesting example, and it's from my own company. We hired a lot of CAs, that's our model, and we would train them, and they would eventually become consultants, and then they would go out and become project managers. Some would lead some geographies and things like that. What we really realized is the ambition of the chartered accountants or the guys who are coming from finance, but now looking at their business, when they start looking at business in terms of, when they looked at their clients' business, they understood how their clients were functioning, and they were guiding the CFOs or the CEOs on the other end. This whole spirit of entrepreneurship has started really creating a vibe in them, because now they understand business on the other side. and this feel of being able to understand the commercial aspects of business as well as the operational and legal and other areas, and with technology driven, we had like 6 or 7 new entrepreneurs coming out of our own company who have now started their setups, and guys who were, in fact, our CFO is now a CEO of a company. He's running his own company. There are a few other consultants who have grown out and becoming entrepreneurs and CEOs and founders. So the role, if you look at, is more to do with what is our ambition. Do we really like, if we are too passionate about numbers and bookkeeping and accounting, then of course you are right in the right job. But I think the vision, if we open up to say it is about running business, I think there is enough and more that we get as fundamentals, that we get as exposure, that we could look at expanding the role to becoming business heads, becoming CEOs, getting up into entrepreneurship, and all of that is very much an available future. So that's how I would see the roles of especially finance professionals, and how are they changing in this era, and a couple of examples that I thought I could share.
Fantastic. It just means that increasingly you're hungry for learning more, and I guess both the roles, when they were separate, now are going hand in hand. If you are a finance person, you need to look at the overall vision and tech. But when you are a finance person, when you're as a CFO, are you also, a lot of times we also see, how do I articulate this in a way that I don't offend people here? which is as chartered accountants, as company secretaries, you're always very guarded about compliances, right? And as a CEO who is coming perhaps with an MBA background, you are bullish on, let me just do this, right? How then is that fine line between being overly cautious and going with the gut instinct?
Yeah, I mean, no, you have articulated it well, and it is true. As we come out of our background of CAs, and mostly CAs, and who grow into financial controllers or CFOs, or even that entire stream, they are usually the ones who are like sitting and holding tight the entire organization. So while there will be business heads or CEOs who will come with flamboyant plans, the CEO is the check and the balance, or the CFO is the check and the balance, right? They would come back and say, okay, can we really
hold your horses?
They are the ones who are always going to pose or play the devil's advocate in this role. What has started changing, what I would say is, I mean, there are two kinds of CFOs that we had. One was always with that mindset of questioning and challenging. And then there are ones who are business friendly. While they understand the challenge and the risk, business is always about balancing between risk and opportunity, right? So there'll always be risk of doing things, but equally, if you don't do it, there's also a risk in not doing things, because you might lose the opportunity. And I say, the way I have seen CFO especially change, and the CFO especially coming from chartered accountancy background, they are becoming more and more business savvy, and it is business savvy CFOs or business savvy chartered accountants who are now starting to balance between risk and opportunity. And while they understand the risk well, but they would say, okay, while this is like, there's a risk, but
let's take that calculated risk.
I think the mindset is starting to shift, and it is better. So for example, if you look at MBAs, and nothing wrong with them, there's more flamboyance in their approach. They are good articulative, they understand business from a strategy. I would say CAs are more fundamentally rooted in terms of the knowledge and the skill, and therefore they perceive risks much faster. But when you add a little bit of opportunity-driven, a little bit of business-savvy-driven kind of mindset to them, I think they become far better, businessmen, or I would say, in whichever sense, whether they become CEOs or lead businesses, because they understand fundamentals well, and they are now also looking at the opportunity side of it. So I think the mindset is definitely changing, especially with the newer generations, because I think they are far more opportunistic than.
We can just say it's a killer combination then.
It is a combination.
Yeah, and perhaps at the institute level as well, now we should be looking at honing that skill, which is a balance of, if you were looking at both the financial aspect of it and the so to say the advancement aspect of it, and how to merge both together. Wonderful answer and wonderful deliberation there. Zablani, if I could get you in, sir, here, and more on an anecdotal way, and more on your personal experience, because I think people would enrich themselves. What has been one of your most challenging sort of decision making when it came to work-life balance? And if you were to share a personal insight or a personal experience.
I think as a CFO or maybe CEO, you have to take a lot of tough decisions. It's not easy, but sometimes you have to take. The biggest thing is the change management. Because when you want to do something change in the organization, first of all, the resistance comes from the promoter family. That is the biggest problem. Secondly, from your team member. So then you have to balance this thing, because ultimately we understand the risk in a better way than anybody else in the organization can understand.
Right.
So we have to also educate them, we have to take them into the confidence. And many times it has happened that we have to take a tough decision, that we have to sometime remove many people in the organization who are not ready to or align with our vision. So sometimes we have to take that tough decisions also, that this person is not ready to take that, or he is not ready to understand the things which we are planning to do. So we have to either sidetrack him, give him other role also, or sometimes we have to remove also. So that kind of tough decision also we have to take. Secondly, many times you are doing game-changing decisions also. At that time also you have to take the tough decision. And I can tell you, when we were having, I was very, very young in the organization at that time, in 2004. I went for the understanding the benefits in the Himachal Pradesh, Badi. Okay. That time our company size was only 25 crore rupees. At that time, my boss said me that the promoter of Zydus, Mr. Patel, he told him that lot of organizations are moving to this Badi, particularly the pharma company. So you should also go and visit that, because we were having a very small pharma company also at that point of time. Now we are not having that company. So he said, you go there and understand what are the benefits available over there. So I went there, I understood, and then I realized there is no benefits available to our organization, because we were into the bulk drugs. So whatever the excise duty we were charging, it was credited by the formulator. So there was no benefit available. But at that time, one thing strike as a chartered accountant in my mind, that ultimately benefit is benefit. So why not we take these benefits in our other organization, that is the pipe company. So I went for the pharma study. But at that time, I decided that why not we implement that thing in our pipe company. And you'll be surprised to know, when I was coming at that time, company size was very small, so I was traveling by train also. So there were no flight facilities available to us. So I was coming into the Rajdhani and I was doing the work on my laptop. And I was surprised to know that my payback was 18 months. Payback was just 18 months. So I was doubting on myself that how it is possible to invest some money and get the payback in 18 months.
Correct.
So I came back and double checked the things. And at that time, one of the respected chartered accountant was consultant to our company. Because he was associated with the organization for many years. I was the newcomer, because I joined in 2003 and went for Badi in 2004. So my association was even less than 1 year at that time. So he said it is not possible. Any business, any investment can give you payback in 18 months. It is not possible. I said, but I have done working. You at least go through. He said, it is not possible. Please understand. But I said, at least sit and understand. So then my MD was very dynamic. Even today is also, he's a dynamic, not was, he is dynamic. So he said, no, Hiranandji, you should tell us, you do the presentation. So I did the presentation to the MD and our consultant. The consultant said, yeah, it is really unbelievable. Your working is absolutely right, but still I can't believe it. So I say, okay, let us go to the place and go there and understand. So first time we went in flight there, very next day. Because the kind of benefit was there, so everybody was shocked that if that is the case, then it will be the game changer for the organization. So we went there and we met a couple of chartered accountants who were the consultant in Badi, and we met and understand the things, and everything was perfectly all right. And when coming back, again the consultant say, I will not advise you to go there. I say, what's the problem? He say that your size of the organization is 25 crore only. And you are going to the place which is 1200 kilometers away from Ahmedabad and putting up unit over there. I say, what's the problem? People are going abroad also. So, no, I will not advise. I say, okay, I can try and mitigate the risk further. He said, how can you mitigate the risk? I say, better we take the plant on a rental basis. rather than putting up the own plant. Because putting up the own plant is a lot of cost
Correct.
involved in that. Capex will be there. So then we hire the plant on a rental basis and we started running the units over there. And you'll be surprised to know my payback was 9 months.
Wow, incredible.
And I can say very proudly that that was the game changer decision at that point of time. That is why today Astral is 50,000 crore market cap company.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Otherwise, if we could not have taken that decision, we were just minting money. I'm telling you, you just put a ATM card and get the cash. A similar kind of minting money was there in Bandi at that point of time.
Right.
Because 16% exemption was in excise duty, 16% on sale. You can understand the amount we can get the benefit. And then 3% saving was CST. That time GST was not there, so say cell tax was there, so
Right.
4% CST was only we were paying 1%. So 3% exemption there. Plus we used to pay 30% income tax, what was the eligible income tax. So 70% concession in the income tax also. So all put together, if you add, then
Right.
I can't believe that kind of benefit ever India has seen in the history. So that kind of benefits were there. So sometimes these kind of tough decision also you have to take, and at that time,
And think out of the box and have the conviction that you want to take it forward with, backed by results.
Even one
Yes.
step ahead, that my boss was telling that 1200 kilometer away, who will go?
Right.
I said, I will. So I used to go every 15 days to Badi. Every 15 days I used to go there and
In
visit
train?
there. Huh?
In train? Or in flight?
And not only that, everything was done by self. I still remember we have given the project report to the Himachal government with the projection that first year we'll put one machine, second year we'll put second machine, third year we'll put third machine. So in 3 years, we'll be putting 3 machines. And in a span of 2 years, we put 21 machines.
Yeah, wonderful.
So
I
that
guess
kind of
those,
cash
yeah,
flow-
that mindset also has to be developed. So, I think when we are talking about, actually अब आप लोगों को ये समझ आ गया कि हम वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस की तो बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, अब हम केवल वर्क बैलेंस की बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, क्योंकि यहाँ किसी की लाइफ में बैलेंस जो है इतना पैशन के साथ में हो नहीं सकता है. अगर कुछ होगा देन आई विल टेक 2 मिनट ऑफ एडवाइस कि वो क्या टिप्स हो सकती हैं. But very difficult to have work-life balance when you're so passionate about what you're doing, because आप उसी के बारे में सोचते हैं पूरे टाइम, correct? So let's take this little forward. हमारे पास टाइम थोड़ा कम है, लेकिन हम तब भी थोड़ा सा खींच लें टाइम. जो मुझे बताने वाले हैं कि टाइम है कि नहीं वो या नहीं है, तो हम खींच लेते हैं फिर, है ना? Let's just do that for 10 more minutes. All right, Parik Saab, I wanted to know, हम इतनी ESG की बात कर रहे हैं, environmental, social, governance, but it is challenging. It is very challenging. I was recently as part of, in fact, it was one of the Symphony programs only where we were talking about MSMEs. And we were trying to work on the challenges that MSMEs come with. And one of the biggest challenge, of course, apart from the finance and skill development, etc., for MSMEs was, and all the leaders, all the leaders were like, that ESG is such a thing at the moment that it has been forced in a way that before we can think of any kind of development, हमको पहले ESG के बारे में सोचना पड़ रहा है और हमको ESG के राउट से पहले जाना पड़ रहा है. As leaders then, how difficult is it to think about ESG goals on one side and also especially sustainability goals? How do you keep sustainability goals on one side and how do you keep your development goals on one side? And how difficult is that road? And as a CEO, as a CFO, how do you balance? Because compliance भी बहुत है, हर तरीके की reporting है. So even if you want to take some decisions, perhaps they are not ESG compliant in the short run. Maybe in the long run, one wouldn't take that step. But in the short run, you feel, all right, we can park this and move forward. And those are real scenarios that happen with companies. How challenging is it as a leader?
Yeah, it's both challenging and rewarding, but I believe that sustainability of business has to be very important consideration for finance, because many of the finance decisions, investment decisions now globally largely
need
by
of-
private equity funds and many other funds, ESG score, I think, becomes very important.
Yeah.
The challenges are all three fronts, E, S, and G. You know. So when you talk of environment and you say you want to, for example, reduce emission, or you want to increase local inputs, or you MSME percentage of inputs, possibly short time the cost will go up. Maybe you have to have more quality control process buying from small timers.
Right.
When you look at S part, let's say social part, safety part, let's say quality of products. If you put more stringent quality, taking customer interest in mind, you may have more rejection initially. So there can be reduction of sales, there is an increase in the cost, and therefore impact on financials. If you talk of investments, let's say for waste management or anything like this, which are either not having payback period or having very long payback period, and therefore financially they wouldn't make sense.
Right.
G is perhaps less talked about, but very important. The governance part. You talk of disclosure, transparency, related party transactions, onwards many other things which are talked about. I think that is very difficult to change and improve upon because it needs a mindset change, even at the leadership level and promoters level.
Correct.
How transparent you are, for the public, for the shareholders, etc. Having said so, I think if you look at the benefits of that, while on environment people say this is more drain on the P&L, actually it's not true in all the cases. I'll give you example. In Zydus we implemented hybrid power plant,
Right.
Renewable power. So and it helps you in terms of environment angle on your E goal. But in terms of payback period, when we invested on hybrid power plant, which is both in terms of solar, as well as wind, our payback period for this is less than 1 year. The investment in hybrid power plant, if you on a co-ownership basis, where 26% with the private people, 76% with the generator, your payback period will be less than 1 year. So it's not that economically is a problem. Okay. When you invest in terms of quality systems or safety systems, I think customers value that. The customers also want to find out, especially the large customers and global customers, what is your ESG score and what are your practices. So you get committed customers for a long period of time. So they also value this, right? When you look at safety of your employees or job satisfaction level of your employees, that obviously gives a lot of productivity increase, lesser attrition, that here is the organization which cares for employees. I think it's not to be considered in financial, it's to be considered in a very holistic sense. And G, I think ultimate test of everything for at least listed companies, how market reflects, how the investors reward you. So if you are good in terms of ESG and governance also, I think market rewards you. So if you take in a holistic sense, ESG is not a drain. And S also includes CSR to some extent. How are you valuing your contribution to the society?
Right.
I write poems, and one of my good, book, Dwar Bhitarna Khol, has one line. એકઠું જે કર્યું તે અંધારું, વેચીએ તે પ્રકાશ લાગે છે. બાર પેચો. ચાલ જઈને હાથ કોઈના હાથમાં દઈ આવીએ. ચાલ જઈને હાથ કોઈના હાથમાં દઈ આવીએ. આંસુઓમાં ભાગ કોઈ રંક ના લઈ આવીએ. I think that is a lot of value.
Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Sirsha, taking the thought forward, how do you strike a balance when you're seeing a short-term gain and when you're seeing a long-term sustainability goal? And that's the story of a lot of organizations. Because you start to prioritize those short-term goals. Abhi ye kar lete hain, phir wo karenge, abhi ye kar lete hain, phir wo karenge. But how does the balance come in?
No, so it's a very difficult tightrope walking. It is like balancing apple and chain worm, but one has to balance that. I think first and foremost, it starts from culture, what you develop in the organization, the way in which you train, you empower, you communicate internally and also all your stakeholders. We clearly believe that no act should be done at the cost of just merely short-term benefit. And we believe that whether in our company or by and large in any organization, if some long-term moats can be developed, they always benefit in short term. And long-term moats can be developed maybe in terms of the product innovation, design, aesthetics, performance, patent, etc. It can be in respect of the supply chain, it can be in respect of AI, it can be in respect of IT, it can be in respect of your HR practices, it can be in respect of your dealer distribution network, and in many, many respects. Right. So, if that is kept in mind, most of the time, short-term objectives are kept in mind, are taken care. Secondly, what we do, whenever we decide any investments, some small part of the investment is allocated to meet with immediate objective or some immediate competition threat. Bigger allocation is done for medium-term objective, and some allocation very ambitious long-term project which may fructify in a big way. And as long as it is communicated well to the stakeholders, I think by and large it is received well. And the recent example is, say, most of the IT companies didn't perform really well in December quarter. And still, post announcement of the result, they run up. The point is the way in which they communicated, the way in which they conveyed. And another exactly the different example is of HDFC Bank. In totality, if you see, bank has performed well. In fact, YOY in most of the parameters in terms of ROE, it has done extremely well. But the way in which it was communicated, if you go through their investor analyst call or transcript, it was absolutely disappointing. The point is, if long-term future is very bright, in short term, only in Excel sheet and graphs, it grows and it grows. There can be temporary ups and downs, and it's part and parcel of the life.
Wonderful to sum that up, that topic there. Seema Shubala, I'm going to put the last question to you before I open it to the audience, which is, चलिए हम ये तो अब समझ गए कि भाई आप लोगों के लेवल पे तो वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस हो नहीं सकता है उतना, पर जब आपकी जो फ्लोर्स हैं, जो आपके एम्प्लॉयज़ हैं, उनके लेवल पे कैसे वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस हो सकता है. But having said that, jokes apart, we all always say that, you know, it is top down. So, you know, I mean, what you set as an example sort of comes down, because a lot of times, you know, I used to, when I started working as a journalist, you know, we would leave only once our bosses would leave. And the bosses were setting that precedent that, you know, when, जब तक वो नहीं जाते थे, तब तक पूरी टीम वहीं रहती थी. And किसी का work life balance नहीं होता था. So, but you know, the new generation is very different. They are demanding, you know, they come, they already know what work life balance is in their 20s and 30s. So you have under you perhaps 3 generations that you are handling, right? And every generation understands work-life balance as separately. And every generation understands company loyalty as separately. And every generation is now understanding even the notion of what is the company's progress and what is my progress, and is there a cumulative progress. So everybody that is under a leadership in today's day and age is so dynamic that I wonder how leaders do it.
So, if you look at the Indian economy, which is growing at more than 6.5% plus, I would say, for next couple of years. So, momentum will be enormous, I would say, in terms of work-life and work-life
expectations.
Because of that, work-life balance is most important going forward, I would say. And in our company, what couple of things we are doing. In fact, everybody has to plan properly, plan ahead also, and plan proactively also. That is what will help us to maintain the work-life balance. So, couple of things, in fact, we are doing as a company, we are doing. What we are doing, we have a mandatory leave policy, where everybody, all employees has to take 30 days mandatory leave. It is compulsory for them to, so that at least we are trying to impose something on the employee to enjoy spend time with the family. We have in our company, we generally don't encourage the late sitting. We accept some quarter result kind of a things. Otherwise, everybody has to maintain the time. Everybody has to put the boundary on the time spent at the office. That is what we are trying to do. Plus, we have in our corporate office, we have a system. In fact, we have a cafeteria where teas and lunch and teas are not served at the desk. I would say they have to compulsory go at the cafeteria, and that is a fixed time also for the tea time. I would say there are two times in a day tea is being served. But compulsory all the employees have to go to the cafeteria and they have to spend for 15-20 minutes or half an hour together for the tea, I would say. It's a basically change, I would say. It's a change for the employee to, and they can discuss whatever they want in a group, I would say. That is what we encourage, all those things. For lunchtime also, it's not, everybody has to go to the cafeteria and have the lunch there at the table, spend time with the many people. So that at least we will try to see that they get changed during the course of the day. That is what we are trying to do.
Wonderful. I was instantly reminded of this meme on, it wasn't actually a meme, it was actually a post of some company in Southeast Asia where the chairs are completely reclining and everybody after 1 o'clock actually sleeps. But that is interesting. We were shooting at Realme, the phone company Realme. And we were shooting there and उनके lunch के बाद में lights dim हो गई थी. And I asked ये मतलब बिल्कुल aircraft वाला माहौल क्यों कर दिया गया है कि मतलब एकदम से light dim हो गई हैं. And they said that we now have a 20-minute rest time. So and they say they do not have any meetings 20 minutes after the lunch hour. Because everybody is just coming after a heavy lunch and so I mean it was very interesting how very small sort of changes in the way they work was
Can I add something?
helping. Absolutely, sir.
So what Saurabh mentioned, I think in Zydus also we are doing all the things which he mentioned. What additionally we are doing in Zydus is having a number of different clubs. We have singing club, we have photography club, we have dancing club, we have bird watching club, yeah, all of them. And we also have programs of our, let's say, singing club during office hours in our auditorium.
Wow.
Okay, we have poetry club, and obviously you can expect I to be one of the members. So we have poetry club where we have poetry sessions not outside office hours, during the office hours.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Okay, so that's the way organization is encouraging.
Wow.
I think more important is when you talk of work-life balance, one is from the company angle, other is at personal level.
Right.
How do you do? So in my view, this is both science and art. Science in that sense that, for finance people, talking about quarterly results, investor presentations, share prices, and business growth, etc. When you are away from that, what you will do?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you be doing something which is very different from that, or something related to that? If you keep doing something related to that, you will not actually be doing the work-life balance. So you have to do things which are completely different.
That's a great advice.
And art is that how meaningfully you use that. What kind of diversion? Like I say, by my profession, I am person of figures, but by my heart, I am person of words. So I love literature. For example, I write poems. Every Sunday on Facebook page, you would have one poem from Nitin Parekh. So that is the hobby I've created. I don't claim that I sing well, but I love singing. And my wife has told me that I need to continue practice till that I'm able to sing well. And my practice continues for many years.
Fantastic. But that is such a phenomenal advice that you need to do something completely opposite to what you're doing to be able to have work-life balance, which I'm personally going to take, sir, because with me what happens, as a journalist, हम बहुत किताबें पढ़ते हैं, हमें पूरे time ये करना पड़ता है, research करनी पड़ती है. And in our free time also, we, especially with me it happens, in my free time also, I will start reading about things that are related may not be related with my industry or my beat, but I'll still be researching. So, I will be reading non-fiction. Whereas I will not take out time for आराम से तबीयत में आपने fiction पढ़ा या वो करा, because आप इतने आपको लगता है कि there is a word for it. Sir, before I give the microphone to you, there is a word for it. It's called productivity addiction. And that is something that is very important when we talk about work-life balance. ये productivity addition जो है ना, ये बड़ी गंदी चीज़ है. Because आपको पूरे टाइम ये लगता है कि आज तो हमने सो लिया तो हम productive ही नहीं थे. आज हमने छुट्टी में LinkedIn नहीं अपडेट किया तो हम तो productive ही नहीं थे. आज हमने social media पे work update नहीं डाला तो हम तो productive ही नहीं थे, So every time your chutti becomes about doing all those productive things that you weren't able to supposedly do in those 5 days. So I think that's a great advice, that keep it separate. Sir.
You will be surprised to know that many of the talents is not ready to come to Ahmedabad.
Why?
Because Ahmedabad doesn't have alcohol. So you'll be surprised to know many corporates now, even in Ahmedabad-based corporates, are putting office in Mumbai and they are hiring the talents over there. So that is the change we are seeing now. Whatever you can call it, work-life balance or maybe anything else, but this is the truth I am telling you. Because we talk to many consultants that we need this kind of employee. They say are very difficult to get in Ahmedabad. I say, why? He say, Ahmedabad, this is the big problem.
Very interesting.
now that option is available.
All right, can we open the house for a few questions, please? If Sir allows us time. Yes, the gentleman there in specs. So will you identify yourself and put the question to who you want to want an answer from, and I'll pass the mic.
Good evening, everyone. I am CA Mohit Tibrewal from RRT Tibrewal and Company. My question is to Umang Nahata, sir. Actually, we are chartered accountants and we have a song, ICS song is also inculcated in a way that it says, kamam, every day you have to do your work properly. We have heard Nitin sir, Hiranandani sir, how they balance their life, but actually being so young, Umang sir, I just wanted to know your personal experience. How do you balance your work and family life? Yeah, that is not what I wanted to convey. Everybody is young, but Umang is the most youngest.
No, I think I would answer some of the points that were said. One is having a hobby which you like beyond all the usual stuff. So for example, for me, I play badminton. And those 2 hours of badminton daily, come what may, it's like meditation for me. It takes away everything else. Nothing comes in that, 1 hour, 2 hour. So that, and like poetry that, we heard here or something else. So that's one. 2, I think the work environment, and we spoke about, meeting over tea or etc. See, what happens is when you talk about work-life balance, it is you wanting to spend time with people you like, or your family, your friends, etc. What happens is if the work culture in your office, and a lot of your friends are there in your office, so if the culture allows, friendship as, so one of our, for example, key values was friendship, along with passion and everything else. And when you spend time working with people whom you anyway like as friends, a lot of that took away this mentality that I had to, because you come to office while you have that workload, but you're also in a group of people that you any which way love to spend time with. So I think that culture of the office, and then having an alternate hobby, and of course it requires switching off time. So for me, luckily, and it changes over your career durations. Once you start allocating enough work, then my job is to allocate work and get reporting. So I have more than 8 hours of sleep daily. The only thing keeps me awake is Netflix.
I think the best way to balance the work life, you delegate the things to your team. This is the best thing. If you have a right team, na, you delegate them, you are always free. I don't remember that I have never sleep 8 hours. Rarely. So if you have a right team, na, you delegate the thing, trust them. Even if they are doing some mistake, you educate them. But you have to delegate. If you keep the thing centralized, then there is no work-life balance.
Yes. Yeah, my name is Shailesh Bhavania. As we are right now, we are talking about work-life balance and tech. So work-life balance is already included in S from the ESG. And so how do you integrate this tech and ESG? Because you have to maintain the ESG as from the compliance perspective, and you have to maintain as a risk assessment also. So just may I know that how do you integrate ESG and a tech?
So technology, I think, is a much wider thing, and ESG is one part where you can still bring the technology into that. Whether it is from environment angle, social angle, G angle, I think is a more of a philosophy and specific actions which count more for ESG part. And technology, whether you are talking about manufacturing technology or product technology or digital technology, I think there are not direct connection. But technology has a lot of risk, and especially the digital technology, a lot of risk, right? And whether you have enough of measures in terms of not only identifying the right technology which works for you, but also trying to see that your investment in technology is making sense to you in terms of economic returns later on. Otherwise, I don't think that there is any direct connection there.
Just in continuation of that, as you ask about the technology and work and life balance, by the way, what we have seen, many professionals don't really get updated about technology. Actually, if you get updated about the technology, try to use them, optimize the most. That itself can reduce your workload a lot. It can automatize many things, and that itself is quite helpful. And we have seen this time to time again and again.
Yes,
Badresh
sir.
Mehta
Last
from
question.
Symphony Group. So as Ms. rightly said by you and also Nupesh bhai and other other fellow colleagues on the dais. See, basically, Miss, I will not take much time. Miss, only 2 points. One, that Miss Symphony Group companies abroad, outside India, are having more work-life balance than the Indian counterpart. Miss, this is a fact, right? And so basically, more it goes with the country,
Yeah.
more it goes with the
Culture.
organization, more it goes with the culture.
Yeah.
In China also, most of the employees, even after taking the lunch, do take rest in the office itself. So this is also a
Wonderful.
culture in
Yeah.
China. Secondly, the late sitting does not happen mostly in any of our subsidiaries abroad. So this is also a fact. Now, over and above this, now one more important thing what I would like to say is that what I believe is that once you are involved in some work, you do not look at the time, right? मिस आप घड़ी में देखते नहीं हो, आप जितना टाइम उसमें इन्वॉल्व रहोगे मिस अपना इंटरेस्ट जगता जाएगा,
Correct.
इंटरेस्ट बढ़ता जाएगा, एंड देन वंस यू फिनिश देन यू फील सेटिस्फाइड. तो अपना वो वर्क करने की शक्ति बढ़ती जाती है. जैसे जैसे काम में डूबे रहते हो, ज़्यादा वर्क आपको अंदर से इंट्यूशन होता है कि ये वर्क अभी इतना करूं, नहीं अभी भी सेटिस्फैक्शन नहीं और ज़्यादा करूं, तो अपने आप वो एनर्जी बढ़ती जाती है. एंड एनर्जी इज ए सोर्स मिस which will not miss allow you to retire, right?
But
So
that
this
is great.
Yeah,
But that's
so this
a
one
great,
yeah.
no, but that's a great point you made, that, that energy or that passion will not make you retire.
Correct.
And I'll just leave you with a thought. There's a book called The 100-Year Life, which whenever I get time, I always talk about it, which talks about, that you are going to live now because of the medical intervention and because of the awareness. You're going to live at least, that's what they're saying, 100 years if everything goes all right. So आप 90 साल तक अगर आप जीने वाले हैं तो 60 साल पे आप रिटायर नहीं कर सकते हैं.
Correct.
So to stay professionally relevant till 75, 80, because that is how you will have to plan your financial future, because if you plan your financial future after 60, it's not going to help you if you're going to live till 90. So you will have to stay relevant. There'll be a lot of unlearning to do. There'll be a lot of learning to do. And of course, the passion needs to stay for you to be able to get to that portion. But I will take that as your last point, sir. Thank you so much. And
Last
thank
point.
you.
Last point, madam.
Yes, I know. मैं नहीं बोलना चाह रही थी वो. मैंने सोचा कि सिम्फनी अपने आप ये हिंट ले लेगी कि उनको भी अब सिएस्टा टाइम चाहिए और उनको भी वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस चाहिए. So
Last
please
point,
take
madam.
the message.
Last point, madam. जो इन्होंने बताया था वो कामम अपना जो इंस्टीट्यूट का मोटो है उसमें वो काम का अर्थ वर्क नहीं है, वो शायद इंटरप्रिटेशन गलत है, उसका मीनिंग डिजायर बाय डिजायर वो इंटरप्रिटेशन में लिखा है. So it is just a correction.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being a lovely audience. Neerav, now over to you.
Thank you so much, Mumtaji, for the wonderful moderation. I would like to thank the eminent panelists on the dais for sparing out their valuable time and sharing their insight with the audience. I request all the members in the house to please join me in thanking the eminent panelists with a big round of applause. Sir, I take this opportunity on behalf of all the members present here and on the behalf of Ahmedabad branch. Thank you so much, expressing our sincere gratitude and thanks for joining us, sir. Thank you so much, sir.